The Anxious Professor's Quest to Get Back to the Gym. Peter the Professor came to see me after reading my first book, Why Things Hurt. He was a 33-year-old economics professor who walked away from his CrossFit persona due to chronic pain and a fear of injury. He had worked hard to develop a muscularly fit body, but found he couldn't escape a perpetual feeling of discomfort and pain in his hips, back, and shoulders. He was an intelligent guy looking for answers, and my writing and that of Dr. John Sarno in his book Healing Back Pain resonated with him. In his research and CrossFit training, Peter had studied Thomas Myers' anatomy trains and tried his best to describe what he felt in anatomical terms, mentioning a variety of syndromes he might have. He tried his best to convey he was smart and just wanted help. Objectively, Peter had pretty good posture, a strong muscular build, and was relatively loose-jointed or hypermobile. He may have had a slight torsion in his pelvis driven by a discrepancy in the tension between his right and his left hip, but for the most part, his physical assessment was relatively unremarkable. He reported feeling markedly twisted in both his pelvis and trunk, and was nervous about most movements that involved his right hip. His progressive distrust of his body caused him to stop working out and led him down a path of intellectualizing his pain while living and teaching alone from his one-bedroom apartment during the COVID pandemic. Oh, and his live-in girlfriend ran into visa issues and was stuck in Ireland for the foreseeable future. Peter was aware he had stress in his life, and it was impacting how he felt, but he was having trouble breaking the vicious cycle he found himself in, circling the drain of pain and dysfunction. I explained the role of his hypermobility because he was quite loose-jointed, and now found himself working from home on a laptop at his kitchen table. Being hypermobile is a genetic trait that falls on a spectrum based on how much of a protein called elastin people have in their soft tissues. More elastin makes tissues stretch more, while less results in relatively less pliable people. Those of us towards the hypermobile, bendy end of the spectrum become a lot more reliant on our muscular systems to hold everything together, which can be a relative gift and curse wrapped into one. Peter enjoyed the benefit of being reasonably flexible, but also felt how tightly his strong muscles could subconsciously brace. The combination of his less-than-ideal ergonomic setup and his underlying life stressors created a lot of bracing strategies in his loosey-goosey body. Peter had read about both hypermobility and IMS on my website, whythingshurt.com, and was keen to see if IMS could calm the tension in his muscles. I find IMS is the best place to start treating people because it creates an immediate and profound change in the resting tone of people's muscles, which is both therapeutic and diagnostic. Therapeutic in that releasing tension from muscles usually makes them feel better and allows joints to move more efficiently. Diagnostic in that I can learn a lot about a person based on how they respond to the needles, and how long the relief they experience lasts, or conversely, how reactive their body was to the intervention. Bracing holding patterns in muscles can be the result of stress, past trauma, underlying joint degeneration, visceral irritation, and/or poor postural strategies. After treating a person with IMS a few times, I can usually tell which issues are driving the bus. Peter's life stress was clearly the cause of his discomfort, but it took us about a year to fully work through that and wean him from his sessions with me. He responded very well to IMS treatments that focused on global tension and postural holding patterns, noticing immediate relief and comfort in his body. But he kept showing up in my office week after week. He complained of very specific pains and feelings of being twisted that I could not see, but I could subtly feel as I moved his body around. I slowly started integrating some manual visceral manipulation into our treatments to address the tensions he held around his heart, lungs, and small intestines, while we talked about the nature of why things hurt. Giving him access to the feeling of little to no tension in his body, even temporarily, allowed him to feel the difference of what a relaxed state and what a stressed state felt like. He developed more awareness around the physical feelings his stress state created. I helped Peter understand he need not fear hurting his body by exercising. In fact, exercising was his mental outlet that helped him let off stress. I encouraged him to de-intellectualize his workouts by not focusing on firing specific muscles, but instead to enjoy the feeling of moving his body, blood pumping, with the energy of life coursing through him. He got better when I convinced him he could run and play some sports, and back off trying to hold perfect form with his exercises. I walked a fine line between helping him create body awareness without getting too picky. He had a propensity to zoom way too far into problems. I worked with Peter through various levels of the COVID lockdowns, him breaking up and getting back together with his long-distance girlfriend, and interviewing for new jobs that would have him move halfway across the world. Not surprisingly, the tension in his body was a roller coaster based on his personal life. He didn't have anything physically wrong with him, but he experienced a lot of pain related to his fear of more pain, his fear of loneliness, and the general stress of the world we lived in. I literally poked and prodded him through this year-long journey and could feel how his body responded to his stress. Our time together was successful in the long run because of the combination of providing physical relief from his symptoms while helping him understand the root cause of his regenerating tension was stress and not an issue with the physical structures in his body. Unfortunately, physical therapy and counseling are typically decoupled and they both cost people money to solve deep-rooted problems. Quite often people go to counseling to deal with their life stress, but don't have the words to express their physical experience. Similarly, people go to physical therapy assuming their pain is physical in nature and aren't prepared to address the emotional roots of their problem. I try my best to bridge that gap between the two disciplines and surround myself with complementary services like counselors, Pilates instructors, and dietitians to help people understand that being healthy is not their doctor's job and instead requires awareness of how their bodies work.